And now for our reading. From The Code of the Woosters by P.G. Wodehouse. If not actually disgruntled, he was far from being gruntled.
You better have your tinfoil hats ready, ruffians. It's time for the first Conspiracies and Curiosities episode of the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. We discuss books we've read, tell you about our upcoming programs, and throw a few guest speakers in for some flavor. This is Mallory, but if I told you my real name, I'd have to murk you and then burn this identity. And I'm joined by my immortal mutant BFF, Ariel. Our supreme overlord, Carla, is hunting Bigfoot from this table as we speak.
YouTube videos, man, YouTube videos.
And we are recording from an undisclosed location, and not at all from our library in Jackson County, West Virginia. And Zach, this portion of the broadcast has been redacted.
Well, I guess I'll just leave out that I'm recording from...
This portion of the broadcast has been redacted. Today we're going to talk about...
that cough.
It's bad. You don't want it.
Today we're going to talk about the Illuminati, and this is kind of like Zach's episode, so if you want to take it over from here, Zach, you are welcome to.
All right.
Yeah, we didn't research nothing.
I didn't figure you did. I read a little bit, and I read some stuff on the internet and in a book, so I'm so prepared. So, let me just first start off by saying that secret societies are real. They exist.
I was going to say, if he says they're not real.
No, they're real. They exist. But almost all of them are like way more boring than you expect them to be. That's like important. So people have always wanted to have like these exclusive in clubs. You know, you get them in schools and in at work and just all around. You got like these little cliques, and people want to be in little groups and keep other people out. And this happens basically everywhere in all walks of life at all the different levels of society. And as such, there's always been exclusive groups of people at some point who are generally powerful or like shadowy, and others claim that they are part of some sort of secret society. And because of this, and because of the exclusivity, there's always some sort of like conspiracy theory about them. Like, so these things do exist, and sometimes there's conspiracy theories about them, especially when they're higher ups or more powerful people. And the sort of range of conspiracies we have here, some of which are real, are saying that the members are controlling the world, or are lizard people or aliens, or there's the people from the HOA just really don't like you and want you to move out. So it just depends. It can go everywhere. There's been a bunch of different like secret societies or groups over the past, well, basically for as long as things have been around. The Freemasons, for example, were very popular in the 1800s, and they were just basically a group of stonemason or people from a stonecraft guild back in the European Middle Ages, and it just stuck around for a long time. And it got so serious in the US back in the day that they had stuff like the anti-Masonic party, who would basically spread a bunch of rumors like that the Freemasons murdered people, or that they were bent on global mayhem, you know, as you do. And eventually this came out to being other people are running the world, and one of the best known ones about running the world, this shadowy group that runs the world, would be the Illuminati. And I'm just going to preface this other part again, that no single group runs the world from the shadows, all right? Just not a thing. But there's a bunch of people who definitely want to try to do that.
I think you're wrong, but that's okay.
Well, there's definitely people who want to try. You got, like back in the day, it was like rich property owners, or the church wanted to run the world. And then you've got stuff like bankers or billionaires now. And they may think that they're helping out the world, but most of the time, they all disagree with what needs to happen, so you get these little infights. And they're not necessarily the best for all the people, right? They want to do stuff that's good for them. Especially nowadays, we got these people, like, I think they're called the futurists or whatever. No, the long-termists. They're called the long-termists. And they think that, for example, all the stuff...
That is the worst name.
The long-termists? I think that's what it's called, but...
That is an awful name.
It's not great. They need to redo the branding. I haven't heard of
this one. It makes me...
Basically, though, this is a real movement. And basically, it's a bunch of, like, rich people, mostly rich people, or higher-up tech bros and Silicon Valley, who want to do everything that is the best for the long-term survival of humanity. So they'll do a bunch of stupid stuff and just let like current problems just, get worse, essentially, because that stuff doesn't matter because that's all short-term. So you just got to think about the long-term. It's really dumb.
Sounds like they don't want to bother with anything and want to make a secret club.
It's sort of like that. Also, they just want to feel like they're doing cool stuff. Let's see, where was... And I lost my thought. Okay, yeah, so speaking of the Illuminati, we've got this supposedly world-controlling society. Now, some people say that they just aren't human at all, or aren't quite human.
Lizard people.
Lizard people, for example. And lots of people who are famous are accused of being in it. Yeah, it's your people, Ariel. But people.
See, Zach knows. Zach knows.
So you got people like the Clintons or Beyonce or the royal family, and these are all people who they've said have been in the Illuminati. So it raises the question: is every famous person in the Illuminati? And the answer is probably no. These people just hang out together because they're all rich and all powerful. So you just kind of hang out in the people who are in your same social status group. But there have been a few real groups which take on the name of the Illuminati. The most known and famous one is from it was founded on May 1st, 1776 by Adam, I should have looked up how to pronounce his last name, Weishaupt? Adam Weishaupt. Chow? I don't know. In Bavaria, which is now currently Germany.
Legit thought he was getting ready to say his last name when he was I thought that was the beginning of this person's last name.
I mean, it could have been.
It's like one of those nicknames in like middle of somebody announcing somebody.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yes.
Oh my god. Anyway, Adam.
That's what he is.
The dude's name is Adam Weishaupt, probably, or something like that. And he founded it in Bavaria, which is now current modern-day Germany. And he was a professor of law who basically wanted to promote secular education. He didn't like that there was so much religious power in his at his school. And he came up with this group and originally called it the Perfectibilists, which is an awful name. And it's actually the short version for Bund der Perfektibilisten, or Covenant of Perfectibility.
That was a more fun one, though.
Yeah.
The long version.
The long version. Well, it's also in German. But eventually it became, oh my gosh, Illuminatenorden. There we go. We had to cut out these mispronunciations, just saying.
No.
So it looks like I am perfect.
I'm leaving the
Anyway, it's the Order of the Illuminati in English, and it comes from basically a Spanish word that had, or Spanish, from the Spanish that has a similar sort of meaning, right? Or it's associated with those sorts of ideas, essentially. Yeah, they're from pre-existing Spanish ideas. That's where he got the name Illuminati from. So basically, he was harassed in his school by the Jesuit order at the time, even though that they were technically dissolved back in 1773 by the Pope. There were still a bunch of Jesuits at his school, and they were basically in charge of everything. So he was harassed by them a lot because they just disagreed on how to teach. So he made this society with himself and some students, and mostly because he was just mad, essentially. So not the most prodigious start for the Illuminati, but that's what it was. And because, he didn't want people to know about it, he didn't want people to know what he was doing, he had everybody use code names so that nobody would know who anybody was. They went underground, and they started to recruit from people from various different groups. One of the things that they did was join the Freemasons. Some of the people would join the Freemasons and try to recruit internally from there, which is probably where there's this huge association with the Freemasons and conspiracy theories and the Illuminati. And this confusion is basically, it's just lingered around till today, for the most part.
Are we done with the history now?
What do you mean we're done with the history? I'm telling you about...
boring!
What do you mean it's boring?
I want the juicy facts.
He said it was a lot more boring than we were
It
thinking.
is boring.
know,
This is
but-
what I'm saying. No. We're almost done. I got just a couple more paragraphs. And then we can talk about the stupid
Oh
stuff.
my god!
A couple more paragraphs.
Okay. So there was a bunch of initial requirements that had to be put in there. Basically, in order to get into the club, you had to be in good standing, know some people in the club. They have to approve of you. You have to have a good reputation, decent family, be fairly well off. And there was this ranking system inside of it. And as it got bigger, the requirements got more and more complicated. Eventually, you had to go through 13 different levels in order to get in. And because secrecy was so important, everybody had pseudonyms. There were secret rituals to move up the ranks. And it was like really goofy stuff. Like, for example, one way was you could move up was you would take every book you own and summarize it. That was one of the steps you had to do, one of the rituals. And then
Every book you own.
every book you own. So modern day, this would be
That would
awful.
take me forever.
Yeah. Then also you have to write down all your weaknesses and any enemies that you have, stuff like that, you know.
I have no weaknesses and everybody's my enemy.
Well, there you go. That would take a long time to write down everybody's name if that was the case.
No, I would just write everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, it's kind of a cheat, but sure.
All of them. All of them.
So they targeted rich and powerful people to be in it, and eventually it was made illegal by... What's the dude's name? I have it written down here. Hold on a second. Karl Theodor, the Duke of Bavaria. He found out about the Illuminati because they weren't... Despite the fact that they're a secret society, they were doing a bunch of different stuff and trying to recruit a bunch of different people. So people knew about
Is
them.
he mad because he wasn't allowed in it?
I don't think so. I think that they
He
were
wasn't part of the club, so he's like, nope.
I'm not turtly enough for the Turtle Club.
I mean, essentially, yes. But he also disagreed with them. So he made it illegal. And then he used that to, like, raid people's houses and search out other people who were in the Illuminati, get rid of them, blah, 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 blah. So this was in 1784. And the Illuminati only lasted until 1785. Like, basically, after he made that law and started haranguing people, it just went away. Also, just as a side note, you know the triangle, the eye?
Yeah.
They basically stole that from some previous Illuminati-type groups because they thought it looked
that sounds
cool.
about right.
I was going to say that tracks.
Their main thing was they used Minerva, right, as their symbol. What's her name? Hold on a second.
McGonagall.
Yeah, it's from McGonagall. They knew about it.
I was thinking that too.
No, Minerva
McGonagall.
represented... Okay, so they used the Owl of Minerva, which represented knowledge, essentially. And their new ranks were... new people were called Minerval. And from there, you could go to Illuminated Minerval. Yeah, they were kind of dumb. The names were. Anyway, so that's like the Illuminati. That's what happened with them. They were fairly successful overall. They did do some stuff. They were successful enough to get, hunted down and basically kicked out of Bavaria. So that's something.
Well, see, that's how you judge your success in life.
If you get hunted down, means you're probably doing something noticeable.
Right? That's how you win.
A few other there's a few other well-known clubs or groups that actually do exist. For example, the Bohemian Club, which was founded in 1872. They hold...
Their theme song is from Queen.
Huh?
No, they're
Isn't their theme songs from Queen?
No, the Bohemian Grove. This is mostly just a bunch of rich and powerful people who get together and they have these groups and they do some silly little ritual things like burn an effigy of a 40-foot tall statue of an owl. It's called, the Cremation of Care. And the owl, I'm pretty sure, is a shout out to the OG Illuminati. But they didn't really... It's mostly just a networking event, which is kind of boring.
Did you say cremation?
Cremation of Care.
Care.
Yeah, Care. I don't know why it's Care. There's no information in my books about why it's Care.
Burn it! Burn it to the ground!
But basically, all the rich and powerful people drink a bunch and, do silly things, but they don't, actually do anything world-ending. They don't summon Cthulhu or whatever, which would be way more cool, but they don't do it.
We should be an elite club.
We are.
And then you got, obviously, fraternities and sororities on campuses, and people who are powerful generally end up in one of those at some point. A lot of them go to, law schools and stuff. There's tons of those there. And you got people like Bush and Carey, and they were both in the same sort of secret club.
Cross and Bones, or Skull and Bones.
It's Skull and Bones, yeah. It's so secret they can't talk about it. But they, because of that, they would, not talk about each other's experiences in there. And it's mostly just ways for people to be in a secret little club, and then they can help each other get jobs and stuff later on. Again, not very exciting. The current big conspiracy theory rabbit hole that people go down is the deep state, which is basically the Illuminati. In fact, I've heard other people call it the new Illuminati, or they just use it synonymously with the Illuminati. So, but the deep state is the big thing right now.
But that's a real thing.
There is,
isn't it?
not really. Not in the way that the conspiracy theorists think about it. There is obviously people in politics who have their secret machinations and stuff like that. They're trying to get done, but it's never is like crazy as like this. Like the general thing is that the deep state is like so you got a lot of paid actors who are the elected officials, and they're not actually working politicians, and they're a lot of the time just fronts for doing all kinds of nefarious things. So all the politicians are fake. It's really actually being controlled by stuff behind the curtains, and all these people are very secret, and nobody knows who they are, etc., etc.
I think if you look at it like from that conspiracy point, you get that point of view. But I think there's some serious truth to that. I mean, look at lobbyists. They do control the politicians.
They do control the politicians, but these are not secret groups or anything. People know. They're just like publicly saying this stuff. And I mean, all the finance stuff has to be tracked. So it's like the idea that it's like some secret group that nobody knows who they are or what they're doing is not true. Like this stuff is all very public, and it just happens a lot of the time.
I think it's not as public though as, I mean, they keep a lot of stuff hush hush.
Sure, they keep like specifics hush hush, but I mean, it's like
right before the pandemic, we had lost, I think it was like $3 trillion in the budget, which is gone. No one could account for it. And then, the pandemic happened and everybody forgot about it. Kind of coincidental, but all the stuff that was online, all the false information and stuff that they didn't want that narrative to be, the people in power and drug companies and stuff like that, a lot of that has turned out to be, there is some truth to it, and those people should not have been hushed and censored. So I think there's a lot more of this going on than we realize, and we just dump it all under, I guess, the code word Illuminati.
Yeah, or just the deep state in general. Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. There's a lot of nefarious stuff that happens. And actually, so there's this book I was reading where I got a lot of this information from. A lot of it's like gotten from other sources as well. But it's Stuff They Don't Want You to Know, which is a podcast. Shout out them. I don't think they need a shout out from us, but pretty good podcast. I've listened to some of their stuff. It's by Ben Bolin, and it's also got Matt Frederick and Noah Brown. But basically, so those three, they run this podcast, Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. It was originally like a YouTube channel, and they talk about all this different sort of conspiracy stuff. And they talk about like how most of these conspiracies, like all the ones that you think of, it kind of makes sense why there's a conspiracy at all. Like it talks about, for example, chemtrails. Chemtrails are not what a lot of conspiracy theory people think they are. Let's like most of the time it's just, or all the time for passenger jets, it's just the way that crystals form in the flow of the output from the jet engines. But
whoa! I'm going to totally disagree with you on that one.
That's because you're wrong, Mama. Because you're wrong.
No, I'm not. Look it up. There is actual chemical engineering going on. There has been articles about it.
Okay. That's what I was going to say.
And that's your kid. But there's a lot of it.
But
normal
not passenger jets.
Don't last. No.
do.
But normal contrails do not last all day long, and they don't cause the sky to go white.
Anyway,
it's true, man. Look it up. If I would have had this information had I been ready for that one.
He literally mentioned that last time, and I was like, "You better be happy she's not here."
Yeah. No, but there literally has been a bunch of experiments done by the army and stuff like that, which were supposedly benign, which ended up not being, where they would just.
It's because they never are.
They would just take like fluorescent sort of bacteria, and they would just spread them different places and saw what happens to see how they could disperse stuff. I mean, this has happened, and there's like, it's killed people.
Yeah.
It has killed people. This is well documented nowadays. And we know it happened. I'm just saying passenger jets are not the things that are spreading out this stuff.
No, I don't think it's passenger jets doing it.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Okay.
If it's contrails, right, or chemtrails is...
Chemtrails.
And if they're just staying
contrails
up there,
if
you can see them and they're staying up there, they're not actually touching you. So I don't get what the...
They disperse.
They might disperse eventually.
They slowly fall back to Earth.
I don't buy it. I mean, they do.
What do you think they do? Just float around forever?
No. Eventually, they disperse and they fall down to Earth. But it's ice crystals.
It's not ice crystals. Not in a chemtrail.
That's because chemtrails aren't real.
They are real. So, oh my god, I'm looking it up.
You can look it up all you want. If you, there's just as many things that say chemtrails are not real as chemtrails are real.
Well, but and there was a lot. I'm not going to get into the pandemic stuff.
The point is, they did do experiments like this. They were not at high altitudes, really, but they exist.
And I I have a theory as to why they're doing it.
Oh gosh, what is your theory, Mama?
Okay.
I'm gonna cry.
Okay, right now, and you can check NASA and other places, our magnetosphere is weakening because these things happen every 6,000 to 12,000 years. And the poles are starting to shift. You can look that up too. It's moving towards Siberia and will go. And as it does that, it kind of messes with our protective layer. I don't think it was originally meant as a bad thing for these chemtrails because they're putting like metals and reflective particles up there, but they fall down and they contaminate soils and mess with other things. But I think they were doing it as a measure to try to protect us from all this UV radiation that's coming in.
They definitely did try stuff like that back in the day.
I think they're still doing it.
Well, it doesn't seem to be working very well.
No, it's not, and the UV radiation is getting more intense. Because we have a weakened magnetosphere. That's the reason we see the northern lights farther south now on occasion than we used to.
So I can neither confirm nor deny. I know that the poles do shift.
Ooh.
No, this is a thing. It's a well-known phenomenon. They don't like just flip-flop, though. They got like, they'll move around a little bit. Then you'll get like these little pockets of different ones, and then they should flop eventually.
We also have a couple gravity anomalies where...
What do you mean gravity anomalies?
Okay.
Oh my god.
Look up I think it's the Pacific anomaly, but I don't want to, I think it's in the Atlantic. I don't know. Let me see. South American anomaly. I don't know. Let me look it up.
Can I just say before we get into what this actual gravity anomaly is, what I imagine is there's just a little pocket where gravity turns off and people start floating.
No. It's where it's less.
The Bermuda Triangle.
You have to like kind of steer satellites around this because it messes with them.
So they do float?
No.
That's how
So they sink. So there's more gravity.
So there are definitely gravitational differences around the planet because it's got different densities of stuff underneath, or it's got like whatever different thicknesses of the crust, right, at the equator versus up high. I mean, there's like different things like that, but
it's called the South Atlantic anomaly.
I will look it up.
An area where the Earth's inner Van Allen radiation belt becomes closest to Earth surface, dipping down into an altitude of. I want that, and then I can't get it.
Oh, so wait, you're talking about the Van Allen belt? That's not a gravitational anomaly, though.
Well, maybe I used the wrong word, but it's like there is.
No, I mean, sure, there could be some low spot for there would have to be, right? I don't know what effect that would have, but the Van Allen belt is a thing.
Leads to an increased flux in energetic particles in this region and exposes orbiting satellites to higher than usual levels of ionizing radiation.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
The effect. See, I'm not an idiot.
I didn't say you were.
Stuff up. I'm just using the wrong words. But it seems like there's some kind of gravitational thing. There's a gravitational hole somewhere in like the Middle East or one of the seas out there. Let me see if I can find it.
There's sharks in them.
That's right.
Sharknadoes.
Sharknadoes, exactly.
Because the gravity's turned off.
It's not. I think it's not turned off. I mean, gravity's not the same all over the planet anyway. There are some places it's a little stronger, other places it's a little low.
Yeah. It's small amounts, but it definitely
guys,
is true.
if you're dieting, go to a place where gravity is less. You weigh less.
Or up really high on the mountain, that works too. Stuff like that. Okay, anyway, but there's a bunch of other stuff. Like, we've done bunches of basically awful experiments. You got was it the Tuskegee experiment, or was it we called it out a few weeks ago? MK Ultra was another one. So basically, the idea is the U.S. especially has been particularly bad about doing this stuff behind the scenes. So anytime there is something that could look like the U.S. is doing it, they get blamed. And a lot of times it's sort of legit, or there's some truth to it.
Yeah.
And it's not always the case, but it definitely does happen. And it's like, for example, the thing where people were saying Bill Gates is injecting us with tracker devices because he wants to track everybody. Well, that's not you don't have to do that. Everybody's got a cell phone. You just look at the cell phones. You're already tracking yourself. It's stuff like that, where there's some truth to it. This stuff does happen. Yeah. They do track us already, right? It's just with your cell phone, and they track all your stuff. They passively listen to you a lot of the time. Sometimes they'll send stuff back up the gate to try to figure out what you're doing, but it's mostly just to get more money from you and try to figure out exactly what you're going to be doing, because that's all they really want in the end is money and more power, but mostly just money.
Yeah. And I think there are families in the world that have conspired to control more of the world than they started out with. I mean, most of the royal families in Europe are all interrelated.
Oh, yeah.
So they have a bottleneck on that control. And during, I think it was World War One, or maybe two, but I think it was one, that I think it was the Rockefellers, and I can't remember the other one. Maybe it was another big wealthy person during that time period of the Rockefellers. Anyway, there was two families, and they each supported the opposite side of the war because they sold more weapons that way, and they both became richer. So it's like they manipulated other people's suffering to gain more power and money.
Yep.
So I think there is some of that going on. I'm not sure it's a super secret group, although I think it makes great stories for them to be like immortals or aliens or something like that. I love that.
That's way more fun.
But I think there is nuggets of truth in all of this. And I think people are silly to just totally pass it away as like nonsense without actually looking at where this came
there
from.
definitely is more true stuff. Like, for example, on the war front type thing, like, what was it, the Vietnam War, right?
Yeah.
We got into that for literally just because they lied. There was, they claimed a fake ship got shot by the Vietnamese, and that's why we went to war. I mean, they would have found some other excuse eventually, but literally they just lied about that so that we could go to war, because they didn't think that the US would want to go to war otherwise, unless we had some skin in the game. But we deliberately put things close to Vietnam, and eventually there was like a little bit of an excuse that we could use, which was somebody misread a radar thing and thought that they got shot at, right? And then they're like, oh no, they blew up one of our ships. We're going to have to go to war now. I mean, this stuff happens, and it was mostly just so that they could get into the war, so they could have more influence over Vietnam, and they could sell a bunch more military stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff like that. That happens all the time, and it's awful.
Yeah, it's terrible, and it's sad, and it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's neat, too, that when, or it's interesting, not neat, that when you were talking about the Illuminati and the Bohemian Grove people, the symbols that they use, and how that these symbols are everywhere in our society now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like in the Illuminati, they had 13 steps. Now, that's not a number that's associated with most good things. Usually 13 is like, oh, no, it's like Friday the 13th. And,
yeah, at least in Western cultures, yeah.
Yes. And what's my other one? Oh, the burning of knowledge or care if they burn the owl. That's like they want to play with the dark arts, but they're kind of afraid of them, too. So we're just going to tiptoe around in this, which is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dive fully in there.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it good.
Yep.
So I don't know. It's just like they want to play it being bad and thinking that they have control of stuff. But as what Jim Butcher says, it never works out when you summon a demon. You can't control them.
No.
Nope.
Anyway, I just think the symbolism is interesting. I mean, we have that all-seeing eye on our dollar.
Yeah. Does anybody know what the origin of the all-seeing eye on the dollar is?
I think it went back to the Freemasons in the original.
Yeah, the Eye of Providence here. Let's see here.
But it's also, there's something about the way it's separated from the base, too. There's that space.
It is supposed to be, the Eye of Providence. It's meant to represent divine providence, whereby the Eye of God watches over humanity.
And allowed us to take this country without feeling guilty.
Yeah.
That goes for pretty much all of us. I mean,
I gotta show you this TikTok I saw last night. It's the guy that we love, the Shyamalan guy. He's singing about how we came to America.
Who are you talking about?
No.
What are you talking about?
There's this guy on TikTok, and he does the voice, one of the voice filters, and so it auto-tunes him basically, so he ends up singing a lot of his
he's
religious
so
trauma. And one of, the very first video that went viral for him, or one of them anyway, was him telling the story about how he wanted so badly to fit in at his church, and so he decided one day when they were asking for people who have the Holy Spirit, he decided he was going to start speaking in tongues.
Oh my!
And so he just kept saying Shamala Hamala. And then everybody else started saying that, and he was like, oh my God, I'm making this up and they're following me. This is all a sham.
Yeah.
It was great. Anyways, so the one I saw last night, he's talking about how when we came to America, but it's completely made up. He's like, 10,000 years ago, we came to America. When we went across the sea surviving on Doritos. I'll have to show you. It's
He's
really
very funny.
You can delete all that out if you want.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I do enjoy goofy, ridiculous conspiracy theories like that. They're pretty fun. Oh well.
But it's like with the way they check for the reptilians is they look at the way their eyes are, their pupils, and I'm thinking, you are really far away with that camera, and you're zooming in on the pupil that occasionally looks vertical.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that could just be and probably is just
Yeah.
we hide our.
I was gonna say, do you really think after all these centuries we wouldn't know how to keep our eyes? I mean, it's
contacts.
but it's also like in Men in Black when that alien, Will Smith gets that
He
alien
blinks and
and
blinks
he
twice.
has two
Yeah.
sets of eyelids. It's like, well, why wouldn't we do that?
Right.
I don't.
Those were gills, actually, if you watch the movie.
It was eyelids.
He blinked twice.
He blinked twice.
Ask Will Smith.
I love those movies.
They are really good.
Oh my gosh, I just found a fun fact. Speaking
that's
of...
that's a secret society, the Men in Black.
Oh, the Men in Black
Yeah.
are so goofy.
yeah.
I actually listened to a bunch of stuff about the Men in Black recently, too. It's just wild. Apparently, so the OG Men in Black, the dude literally just made them up because he was trying to do a goof. But then everybody around the time and throughout history has been saying that they see these weird men in black who don't quite work right, or they float a little bit off the ground.
Yeah, they say that they were in Point Pleasant.
Yep.
The Men in Black as this group of people who try to cover things up sounds really cool and seems a lot more legitimate than the way people describe the Men in Black in a lot of these alien abduction or alien sighting type things, where it's really weird people coming to their house and interrogating them or doing weird stuff or floating or not being able to speak properly. It's just
Well, it's the eating too. It's like they don't know how.
they don't know what forks are.
Yeah.
It's it's wild stuff. But that one always got me. It's why? Okay, let's pretend that it is aliens or whatever or weird people. So they've been here long enough at this point. There's no way that they would still be doing all this weird stuff. They would have just mimic us.
I've been here 50 years, but forks are still my downfall.
I mean, it's how they
It's not the same aliens.
They flew here from light years away. They could figure out how to use the fork and how to not
are
float.
hard.
But we're still doing this.
There is a video on YouTube. It's supposedly from a hotel security camera. And these two people come in, and they are creepy, and I'll get out. And it scared the people, according to the video. It's the creepy real-life Men in Black.
Uh-huh.
You need to watch it. We should link it.
Yeah.
Because
there's
there's...
Put it in our podcast group and stuff.
Yeah, it is. They are creepy.
Yeah.
They're way tall. They're bald. There's it doesn't look like they have eyebrows. And they come in and they're asking for this one specific person who's not there that day. Thank goodness for him.
Yeah.
And they're creeping the entire rest of the staff out. I mean, it's just and they almost look alike too. They come in. It's
Have we had any weird think might be Men in Black?
No, but I'm pretty sure
Men
there
in
was
Black?
a troll one time.
A troll?
Men in Black,
I
no.
swear.
Aliens, yes.
Your patrons might be... Wow.
They probably think the same about us, though.
Yeah, I
Let's be
mean,
real.
it's fair.
We had a woman come in one time. It's the only time I've ever seen her. She came in and she was very polite and she was very nice and she donated some books and she left and she looked like she had stepped off of the set of, what is it?
The 10th Kingdom.
10th Kingdom, yeah. Those trolls. Honest to God.
Suck an egg!
It was and I thanked her, and I was very polite to her and I thought, I have just spoke to a troll.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's she looked like she had came right from that set.
Yeah.
I love that. I wish you would have got a picture.
I wish I had too, but I was kind of taken off
I
guard.
want to morph my aesthetic around that.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
And maybe she was a cosplayer or something, but
Yeah.
it didn't have that cosplay look about
Yeah.
it. It's she looked legit.
She
So I don't know.
just is the aesthetic.
It was.
I love that.
Yeah, I've never seen her
Love
since.
that.
Never.
If
And
you're
she
out
was
there-
very distinctive.
If you're out there and you hear this, come back in the library. Love you.
She was incredibly sweet and polite.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. It was so no, I haven't seen an alien that I know of, but maybe giants and dwarves and all that stuff.
I don't think I've had anybody weird come in.
You haven't been here long
You'll
yet.
say that until you get the phone
I was
calls.
gonna say, wait, someone will come in on like Monday or something now because I'm not here after this. But
I'm telling you, you'll wait. You'll say that until you get the weird calls.
no, I would love it in like a terrifying sort of way, like how I love horror books.
You're so weird.
No, I would love to see somebody super creepy. Not like scary, like they're just actually scary people, but like creepy, weird, scary. That would be great.
Yeah, we have
this-
a few scary ones.
This woman wasn't scary.
No.
She was just like, I'm like, oh my God.
Different.
It's like,
Different. Yeah.
I love that.
Memorable because
I mean, her
completely-
ears were even not.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking, wow. But
so cool.
Speaking of the 10th Kingdom, though, have you guys seen that in a while? Like, I haven't seen it since, like, way back when we were kids.
I've watched it a few times because every time I would get a new boyfriend, I'd be like, you gotta watch this with me.
Is it still good?
Yes, it's still
Okay,
good.
I'm just making sure I didn't, like, misremember how good it was.
No, it's still
I'll occasionally
amazing.
watch the little episode from like A Lighter Shade of Pale when he's singing with the mushrooms.
Oh,
Or,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
the-
Oh, my gosh, I love that one. Love that.
And
You know,
also-
I actually found the ring that Wolf gives her.
Oh, really?
Somebody makes it on Etsy
Wow.
as an engagement ring. I was like,
That's so goofy.
My God. And I'm in a group on Facebook. It's like a cottagecore group.
Mhm.
And so many people in there have seen that movie.
Mhm.
They're like, does anybody remember this movie? And like, there's hundreds of comments. Oh my goodness, it's so good. So,
You want to know something?
you ever seen it?
Never.
It's good.
I'll
You
let
would love
borrow
Wolf.
it. You would love Wolf.
Yeah.
Wolf I had a crush on Wolf. It was amazing.
It was just such a ridiculous whole series. I mean,
Oh, it was
in a good way.
fantastic.
It was
yeah.
Yeah, listeners, if you haven't watched it, it's called The 10th Kingdom. It was a mini-series, and you can still pick it up today. I think it's on DVD now.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah.
DVD.
It's not on Blu-ray, I don't think, and I think you can stream it some places, but definitely check it out if you get a chance. It is super goofy, and the trolls are the best. They're my favorite characters.
they are amazing. Yeah, they're funny.
So
Oh my gosh, okay.
Get on
like
that.
the sheep shearing part,
Yeah,
the we will shear you.
yeah.
don't spoil it. It was pretty
I'm
fun.
not. I didn't sing it now, did I?
You didn't.
I want to now.
So good. I have it. I can let
Was
you
this a
borrow it.
book too?
Yes.
Oh.
Never
I
read the
haven't read
book.
the book.
No.
Okay.
The
All right.
movie's
I'll just do the
fantastic.
TV show then. Okay.
Okay, back
Cool.
on track. So that was all I had prepared for stuff. I wasn't sure if we wanted to talk about like goofy, silly conspiracy theories that are nonsense, or we want to talk about something else. Like our favorite secret society. My favorite secret society is the Ordo Templi Orientis, which is the order of the. It's basically the Order of the Temple of the East, or the Order of Oriental Templars. And it was like some occult thing where they were trying to use chaos magic. But it was
I
really,
haven't even heard of that one.
So
it's really just a
our
bunch of
kind
nerds.
cult.
We've probably heard of the main guy. What's his name? Aleister Crowley.
Oh my God.
Have you heard of
Oh,
Aleister Crowley?
Yeah.
Oh.
Actually,
Yeah.
yes, but he was not somebody I would think would be a good person.
Oh, no, he
That's
was
the
an
most
awful person.
fantastic name, though.
Aleister Crowley was kind of an also awful person, but mostly this group they were trying to say that it was like, oh, chaos magic type stuff, so they could like, essentially, you manifest things in your life by doing these rituals or whatever, and you focus on them and whatever, you know? I'm fairly certain this was mostly, after doing a bunch of like looking and reading this, it's a bunch of nerds who just wanted to feel like they had magic powers and bone a lot. That's basically all it was.
You're probably right, because that's pretty much his personality.
Yeah, it was basically, especially Crowley himself. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
there are other people who took it a little bit more, I don't want to say seriously, but they thought it was more legit. I think Crowley thought it was fake the whole time and just wanted to use this as an excuse to feel cool.
Maybe, yeah. And do the things he
And
wanted
just
to do.
do the things he wanted
and
to do.
legitimize them
Mhm.
in his mind.
But if you guys get a chance, read about them, the Ordo Templi Orientis. They are kind of ridiculous, pretty hilarious, I think. Maybe I just have a bad sense of humor, though.
You do.
That's fair, but you know. Anyway, there's a bunch of like weird stuff in there. And the name Crowley, I think, was popularized by him. So you see Crowley as a name in a bunch of
Oh
different
my
stuff.
God, I
you know?
love his name, though. His name
Aleister
is
Crowley?
fantastic. Yeah,
See, I can't associate it with anything good. So to me, it's not.
I love it. Like, I would name my child that. Love it.
Alistair?
Yeah.
Don't even.
I almost did.
That is.
Almost did.
I'm
It
so
was
glad
on
I
our
talked
list.
you out of that. Ugh.
Love that name.
You know what that just like calls to mind? It's like some really pretentious D-bag.
You know what? You know
That's what he
what?
was.
Anton, and every single piece of media I've ever seen that name is a pretentious white man who's a D-bag. Every single one.
Anton. I don't know that I've seen that a whole lot.
I haven't seen it a lot, but every single time I've seen it, it's all
What you trying to do to your son? What you trying to do?
I didn't pick
Put
that
him in a box before he's
You could have
even
fixed
born.
it. You fill out.
I didn't
The birth
mind.
certificate.
I did not mind the name Anton. That was fine.
No, I like his name. Alistair, not so.
I don't know. Alistair's a pretty cool name. And Crowley's a great name.
Crowley is.
Crowley
I love
is a
the name
fantastic
Crowley. That's
name.
just so fun.
I heard the best name ever the other day. The last name was McCracken.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Which is like
McCracken.
son of the Kraken.
Yeah.
I was like, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's an amazing name.
We had some patrons here with that last
Yeah,
name.
that's right. I was
Yeah.
filling out a card.
All right, so what about you guys? Do you have any favorite secret societies?
Favorites?
Or most interesting? Doesn't have to be favorite because of what I like.
I actually think the Men in Black are pretty interesting because there's something that's going on. Because something happened to the people that are reporting these stories. They're not all there just for notoriety because they don't get famous. They get ridiculed and laughed at. So
Oh, yeah, no, totally. Definitely something happened to those people.
yeah. So there was something that went on. Now, are they aliens? I don't know. Are they the government? I don't know. But I think there's something that would definitely give you pause if you ran into them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a favorite secret society at all, but I do enjoy the name of the society that we have around here, the Independent Order of Oddfellows.
Oh,
I love their name, and their little sign looks like it says "I oof." And I actually know somebody who's in it.
Yeah.
But they, I don't know, they're similar to like the
Shriners. And
yeah, the
Masons.
Shriners. Yeah, I was like, what's those people with the hats?
Yeah.
So they're not really a secret society, but
Well, I mean, they're a society. And you probably had to, like, you know, do something to get in or know people or whatever. I don't know.
I don't know that I have a favorite. I am just generally intrigued by secret societies. I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like our book club is a secret society, and I want it to stay that way.
And I'm constantly inviting people in here. It's like, I had something kind of cool happen at the library the other day. We were just talking, and I overheard one of our younger patrons mention that he was reading Out of My Mind, which is next week's deep dive. And I was like, it would be neat to have a different perspective on it. So I did invite him. I'll find out Monday if he's actually going to come, if he feels comfortable enough with it. But, to come in and give us his opinion of the book, which I think is really cool. But it also will mean we have to be on our guard with our language.
Zachary.
He's such a good kid. I love
He's
him
an amazing
so
kid
much.
and smart as a tack.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he'll have a lot to offer.
I don't know why I was specifically called out there, but you know.
Especially by who called you out.
Exactly.
Bleeped the most.
You have been bleeped the most. You gotta admit. I've only done it once.
Considering us is surprising, okay? That's just how it is.
I don't deal with people most of the time.
So we deal with the public, so we
You got more
learn
practice.
to train
Yeah.
ourselves.
I've had to rein myself in here lately like crazy because I'm tired and stressed. And
We're a
sick
bunch of sailors.
but yeah,
We're library pirates.
I have my own favorite words now.
Yeah.
That shall not be mentioned.
All right. Do we have anything else?
I'll make sure we put that link in there with those scary looking Men in Black.
I'm just gonna plug a couple podcasts here that I think will be really good if you're into this sort of stuff. That do really good treatments of a lot of these different secret societies or just different conspiracies in general. If you want somebody who's gonna explain the whole process of how this conspiracy came about and whether it's true, not true, whatever, because sometimes they do some stuff that's true. You have that one that I was talking about, Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. They've got a great book out too. Check that out. The other one, which, this is not a podcast for the faint of hearted, and if you don't like vulgarity at all, don't listen to it, but it's called The Last Podcast on the Left. They're a little bit more on the believer side, but they also just think a lot of the stuff in these conspiracies is just straight up BS because it's a bunch of nerds getting together to do goofy stuff. So those are both very good podcasts.
If they don't believe it at all, I would not like them.
It's not that they don't believe it. For example, they believe in chaos magic, or at least one of them does, but they think that the Aleister Crowley stuff is mostly just nerds.
Well, I mean, I can see that one.
I also want to maybe mention, this is one that I've recently found, whenever I found one of their books, Welcome to Night Vale. It's completely fiction, but it is the funniest. I loved the book. I fell in love with their book, Welcome to Night Vale. And so I've been listening to their podcast about it as well. And
it is crazy.
Yeah, it is. It is a town in, I don't know, somewhere like Nevada, where basically every conspiracy is true and it's cut off from the rest of everywhere and just hilarious. It's a fun time. So if you want like fun stuff where you can also hear, like specifically, I think my favorite part is probably the librarians.
Yeah.
Because they're terrifying and will hunt you down. Literally. They set traps in the children's section, which I find hilarious. Yeah, anyway, that one's very fun.
Yeah, Welcome to Night Vale is very good, but I don't know. It started off way better than it is now, personally. I think so, but
yeah,
I've been listening for like 10 years or something like that, maybe more.
Yeah, I'm still at the beginning, so I guess that's fair.
No. At the beginning, for the first like several hundred episodes, it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah. The books are also very good. I've done It Devours, Welcome to Night Vale, and I haven't done The Woman Who Lives in Your Attic or whatever it is. But that one's next.
I have a couple that I listen to. They're skeptical believers, which I know it sounds kind of crazy, but they look at things more skeptically, but it's like, yeah, there is something going on, but it may not be this, but everybody's reporting or something. Mm-hmm. The first one is Wild and Weird Radio, Wild and Weird West Virginia podcast. And they are funny. Yeah. And they're really interesting. And the other one is Strange Familiars, which has all kinds of cool stuff in it. Yeah. Not just paranormal stuff. It's just got like historical stuff, and it's really interesting. They deal with Bigfoot a lot, so, I kind of like that.
I'm a little surprised you didn't mention Mysterious Universe. Do you still listen to them?
Well, not as much because they've gotten kind of crazy and you have to pay for the extra. So
yeah, no, it was a lot more fun back in the day, but they're just getting too ridiculous,
crazy. Yeah, and they'll lead up to a certain point and then be like, and then stop because they want you to buy them.
Yeah, they're a little bit too money focused nowadays.
Like, finish your thought and then you can, if somebody wants more. But, I just got tired of it.
The only podcast I listen to is us. Yeah. I don't listen to podcasts, so.
I listen to just a couple. I have ours. I listen to Drama Queens, which is the women from One Tree Hill. I love them. Welcome to Night Vale, and I think one other one, but I can't remember the name of it.
I used to listen to Cox and Crendor in the morning.
I still listen to Cox and Crendor.
They're not anything related to this. No. They're just funny.
But Jesse is on a different podcast called the Illuminati podcast. Yeah. It's like a chill thing where they go over conspiracies and true crime. It's pretty fun. I actually went to the very first live podcast they did and met them all. Cool. It was pretty fun.
We should do a live podcast.
I think we need a few more followers for that.
Yeah.
Well, we could do it at the fair since they're setting up anyway.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. You have a lot of background noise there.
You would have a lot. Yeah. So it might be really hard. Anyway.
Okay, I think, does that wrap us up then?
Yep.
All right. Our next episode highlight, Carla already mentioned, is going to be her deep dive pick, Out of My Mind by Sharon Draper. We are going to follow that by our general book chat and book news. And then we will cover Carla's nonfiction book, which is all about...
Guess what?
Bigfoot! And finally, our episode after that, we will be having an author on to discuss his poetry as well as a fantasy fiction book he's writing. And we are going to read the first draft. Be jealous.
Very jealous.
Thank you for joining another episode of The Reading Room Ruffians. You can find our Facebook group by searching Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, which is linked to our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. Our Ravenswood branch has also recently launched a Facebook page, so all things Ravenswood can be found by searching Ravenswood branch-Jackson County Public Libraries. You should also definitely follow us on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library and give our podcast Goodreads page a look-see, which we'll have linked in our episode description along with our personal Goodreads pages. We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and just to make sure you remember, only the best libraries have librarians who won't shush you. We are still definitely not plotting world domination.